mind, our students will also ask you questions. So when do you want students to ask you questions, Natalia? During the webinar, after the webinar, what do you want to do?
I budgeted a whole half an hour for Q&A.
Okay.
So super happy to receive those later.
And by the way, we have students who have interviews with you. Anandita came. I guess I have to see. So yes, we have 21 attendees, which is good. So I see that we have a lot. Sarah even came. Okay. So by the way, so Anandita, Ayush and Purvit coming? Yeah, Purvit and Ayush, are they coming? We'll see. But you can start.
Yes, Dr. Hubert, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah. And Purvit probably is there. So basically, it's good also that we have students, basically Natalia, who have applied to IESE and now have their interview so that they can share maybe with others. And me, I can share my experience as well.
Perfect. And I see Andreas just joined as well. He's my colleague from the admissions team for the Master in Management, and he was also curious to attend the session.
Yeah, to see. Of course, Andreas.
I have to, thank you very much. I will have only to leave in 10 minutes. So I'm very sorry for that, but yes, I'm very curious.
Yeah. Good. So Hubert, Ksenia, if you give me the green light, I will start with the presentation. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much. Let me click here. There we go. So just so you know who you're talking to, my name is Natalia Antip. I'm an MBA graduate from 2019. I'm currently holding 2 roles within the admissions team. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions for Iberia. So I take care of all the candidates that are based in Spain and Portugal. In general, in the admissions team, we are divided by geographies. And this is the geography that I cover. And also I have a role, a more strategical role, to look after Europe and Africa, more from a business development point of view. So the way we're going to
basically, there's something that is very important, Natalia, that I can mention. Sorry for interrupting you. The admission committee at IESE is only hires, from what I understand, IESE graduates. But by the way, it's the same thing as Harvard. I don't know if you know, which by the way is a good thing, because when you talk to Natalia, you don't talk to someone who is trying to sell the program. You talk to someone who bought it, who know what it is. So she sells, sorry to say, she markets, if you want, a program that she has also chosen. I think it's very important, this approach. Okay, so she was in your situation like 5 years ago. Okay.
Exactly. That's actually interesting. And IESE took this decision not long ago, maybe 10 years ago, to put MBA graduates in key roles within IESE. So the Career Development Center are also ex-graduates of IESE who did the MBA, went into industry, and then they came back to IESE to represent the industry that they worked for. So you will see this pattern in different key teams in IESE, which indeed, like Hubert was saying, is a testament to people believing in this program.
Yeah, it's true.
So I'll do a small introduction about my experience. So Hubert, thank you for leading into that. Then I'll present the case methodology, and then I have a very healthy chunk of time dedicated to Q&A. So feel free to ask me anything. I know it's a recorded session. Feel free to ask me anything about my personal experience, about the MBA, about the IESE as an institution, about the case methodology in general. Super happy to address your questions at the end. So just like Hubert was saying, 5 years ago, I was also in your shoes applying for an MBA. You will see that every MBA graduate will talk about the life before and the life after the MBA. I'm personally coming from Romania. I lived most of my life outside Romania. I did my studies in Italy. I'm a telecommunication engineer. And my professional life before the MBA was in the space sector. I worked in Noordwijk in the Netherlands for a year in the European Space Agency, looking more at technology for far future space missions. And then for 4 years, I was in Paris, working for Eutelsat, which is the 3rd satellite operator in the world, looking more at operational day-to-day tasks, relocating satellites from one orbital position to another. So super happy to expand on that if you're interested. During my summer internship, I was a consultant in BCG. And after graduation, I was recruited here in the admissions department, covering first Northern Eastern Europe, DACH region, now Iberia. Now I found my calling, let's say, being in a more of a people-focused job. I also graduated from a coaching school last year, so this is the path that I'm taking now. Let's see where the future takes me, but this is my journey so far before and after MBA. Happy to take any questions afterwards. But the reason why we're here today is for you to learn more about the case method. So I wanted to start by telling you where the case method was born. So in 1908, the first MBA program was born. The Harvard Business MBA was born. And 1921, so just a couple of decades after, they published the first business case. So last year was the 100th anniversary of the case methodology. And why am I here explaining about the case method? Why do I have, let's say, the legitimacy to do so? Is because as soon as IESE was founded in 1958, our founder went to Harvard and said, okay, we want to build an MBA that is a 2-year MBA, the first 2-year MBA, and also we want to use the case methodology at the core of how we teach here in IESE. So we've had this Harvard IESE alliance since the beginning of the MBA, and this is how every single decision in IESE has been structured. You will see later on how just teaching by the case methodology really impacts a lot of decisions that the business school has to take. So let's start with just understanding what a business case is. It is basically a story of a company, whether it is a flashy name like the one you see on the screen, or if it is a small startup that is struggling. It is a story of a company that has some kind of business problem. And you as a business student, you will have to help solve this problem with the group that you're interacting with. Usually in these business cases, they can go from 5 pages to I don't know, 50 pages. They usually overload you with information to simulate you being a manager, getting information from all over the place, understanding which is the core of the issue, taking the data that you actually need without losing yourself in analysis that you shouldn't be doing, and then solving the case together. How do you so just before I tell you a little bit about how you prepare for a case, I want to differentiate a little bit, okay, how the case methodology is used in different institutions. So we can think in terms of the quantity, how many cases does an institution use, and the quality, how do you teach with this method. In terms of quantity, you will see that there are 3 schools in the world that teach with the case methodology for more than 80% of the content of their MBA, okay? Harvard, IESE, and Darden are these 3 schools, whereas other schools use it in a much lesser extent. As you can see in IESE, we have 3 business cases every single day, 5 days a week. So by the end of the MBA, you would have that 400 business cases. And then if you look at the quality of the case class discussion, this can be done in 2 ways. It can be teacher-centered or student-centered. If it is teacher-centered, yes, the school is using the business case, but it is almost still like a lecture style, right? It is the professor that kind of brings an example and illustrates an example that accompanies some kind of theoretical aspect that they want to teach. In the student-centered approach, the professor kind of comes into the classroom and asks, what do you think about a problem? How should we fix it? That's the start of every case study and every session. So the professor takes more of a moderator role and kind of channels the discussion in one direction or the other to make sure that you're getting that learning that they want you to get, but it will come from the students. So if a professor has the same exact case with 2 sections in a row, the class will look completely different, because some students maybe won't be convinced about a certain approach, so the professor will dedicate amount of time to make sure that everybody is on the same page for that specific approach that they want to take, whereas in the other section, maybe they focus on something completely different. So it is really the students and their needs every time that drives the content of that class. And the way you prepare for the case method is that you first dedicate a healthy amount of time to prepare it individually, okay? It usually takes 1-2 hours of preparation for each case. That's why when you have 3 cases every single day, it is quite time consuming to prepare all these cases in the evening before the morning. Then you take this preparation to your team. So every morning you meet with your teams, or in the evenings, depending when you decide to do so, and you discuss these cases, and you draw the first few, matured idea about what you think the case, how you think the case should be solved. And then you arrive to the general session discussion with a very well-formed idea. That's why when you're sitting in the classroom, you are surrounded by very smart people, but with people that are on the same page as you. They all read the case. They all already had the first discussion in the teams, and now you're basically having a fine-tuning type of conversation, which is really, really, for me, it was a privilege to be able to have these very, very high-quality conversations with such diverse people and with so much preparation behind it. So I told you before that once a school decides to teach with the case methodology, they need to really invest a lot to be able to do so. That's why it's so difficult to replicate if you haven't started that way as a business school. So first of all, the architecture needs to be right. You will see in Harvard, in IESE, in Darden, all the rooms can fit like maximum 70, 75 students, and they're all in a semicircle. Why? Because you need everybody to have the time to participate and also to be able to see each other as you're debating. So imagine now one of those schools that have big amphitheaters and that's how they teach. Imagine them renovating everything and making tens of these kind of aulas. It is a big investment that if you don't do in the beginning, it is very difficult to replicate. Diversity of thought. Usually European schools do very well at bringing a very international cohort. Okay, so the diversity of thought is really ensured. And imagine being in one of these schools surrounded by super diverse people and international people, but not hearing their thoughts every day. That would be such a waste, such a loss for you, right? Whereas in the other two schools, Darden and Harvard, they are in the US, but usually in the US, you have schools that have maybe 50, 60% of their cohort coming from the US. You don't get the diversity that you get in Europe. That's why we say in IESE, we bring the best of both worlds. You have the diversity of thought, and then you have the case methodology. And this school is the only place where these two things meet. So that's why we think it's quite special. You also need incentive systems. You need to make sure everybody comes prepared to the classroom. You need to make sure that everybody has incentives to contribute. And then I will also touch on a little bit on the preparation of the faculty, because it is very different to teach in a lecture style and in a case style. So this is how the rooms look like in IESE. You will not find a room that except for the amphitheater style rooms where we hold our conferences. This is exactly how every single room looks like in IESE. It is in a semicircle promoting conversations. In terms of diversity of thought, this is a little bit how our cohort looks like. Okay, we get every year a class of 350 students. More than 80, usually 85% of our students are international students. They're coming from all over the world. But not only in terms of nationalities, it is easy to put a nationality there, but the distribution of these people is very, very interesting. You will see that we're able to shape teams that are very, very different and diverse. I was placed in a team of 9 people, and we had 11 nationalities. So it is really, really granular and very diverse type of people that we put together. And it's not only about the nationalities, but also about pre-MBA sector. You will see that some MBAs are really, really focused on consulting, or they're really, really focused on finance. You will see here in IESE, 59% of our students are coming from industry. So from the other category. Imagine sitting in the classroom and you have, a pharmacist, a water polo player, a person from marketing, a person from finance. It is really, the diversity of thought is really taken to the extreme. And it is kind of difficult to explain unless you live it. But yes, our average is 680. So good job for taking the step to get professional help on your GMAT. This is quite important for us as well. And our average work experience is 5 years. So the students that are contributing to the class, they're usually contributing from their personal work experience. They raise their hand and they say, okay, I was working in Netflix, and I know that when this happened, I can bring this other contribution. Or usually in my country, this would not be legal because we have other laws. So you really get like opinions that come from practical work experience that the students have. In terms of incentives, you will see that every single grade contains a certain percentage that is participation in class. Okay, so maybe in a course such as accounting, the participation in class will only be, I don't know, 15% because you being able to solve the exam counts more. But in a leadership course, for example, maybe 60% of your grade will be participation in class. So everybody really is incentivized to raise their hand and contribute. The attendance is tracked, so you will see that in IESE you're kind of going back to school, like your attendance is tracked. You need to be there. That's the value that we're proposing, that everybody, all these great people that I showed you before, that they actually show up and they're actually prepared and they're actually contributing. And then we also have feedback surveys, mid-class and end-class, for the professor performance. So the professor also needs to be on their toes and really prepared and bringing the best cases. And if mid-class you say, hey, by the way, these cases are irrelevant, they will change them, with better ones, etc. So everything is very, very dynamic. But of course, the incentives are not only extrinsic ones. We also have an intrinsic motivation. I don't know if you're aware, but IESE is a mission-driven school. So we do want to shape leaders who aspire to have a positive, deep and lasting impact on people, firms, and society through their professionalism, integrity, and spirit of service. So this starts in the classroom, right? You have the integrity to be prepared, to show up, to do well, to help your peers in the case preparation. So all these incentives make sure that everybody is there and is prepared. And this will be, I think, my last slide in terms of faculty in IESE. I really encourage you to kind of do your research on the schools that you're applying to, but not all schools have faculty that hold PhDs. 100% of our faculty holds PhDs. They are usually graduated from a top university, usually in the US. So if a certain school has a famous PhD for accounting, then that's where our professors come from. If another one is famous for marketing or is a top school for marketing, that's where our professors are coming from. But we don't only get our professors to teach, they also do research, they also publish, they also do consulting with companies, so they're always attuned to the market. They undergo training with senior professors. It takes them years to become proficient. It usually takes them 2-3 years to be able to teach with the case methodology. Imagine a researcher, okay, a newly graduate from the PhD, who is basically a researcher, becoming all of a sudden an entertainer, right? You're in the middle of the classroom and you're moderating a conversation. That's a very difficult or challenging shift to be made. And so our professors really need a few years to get there. And in the beginning, there's a senior professor sitting in the classroom with them, giving them feedback. Maybe in the second year, they will teach half a course. Maybe in the third year, they'll be able to teach a full course. But it is quite a gradual process that happens. I also encourage you to look at the ratio of professors to students. Usually in schools where you teach with the case methodology, the professor not only knows your name, but also knows your CV. So they're, okay, Natalia, you are an engineer, you worked in space, we're having this space case, what do you think? You are a doctor, Vartika, maybe you can tell us a little bit about this pharma industry and what is happening. They will remember your name and your CV. Why? Because the ratio professor to students is very, very high, 1:4. Imagine in some other schools where you have a school that has bachelor's degrees, a lot of master's degrees, and then the MBA, maybe the professors are teaching in all these other degrees. They will not have the mental buffer nor the possibility to have an open door policy to learn all your CVs and then support you throughout the academics. And also we have every single professor, they are mentored to one MBA team every year. So we divide our 350 students into sections, 5 sections, and those sections are divided into teams. So imagine section A team 1 will always have one professor. So that's kind of a tradition for that team to have the same professor. So the second years mentor the first years. A1 team from second year will help you as A1 team from the first year with your CVs, etc. Maybe you'll have, a dinner with the professor and the two teams. What IESE does is they sponsor a lunch in the North Campus here every term for the professor and the team. So you get this interaction. Depending on the professor, they can do more. For example, my professor did a one-to-one lunch every single term. So you can really get to form these relationships with the professors. This was my presentation. I even finished earlier than I thought. So if you have more questions that you would like to ask me, I'm happy to take them now. But you can also download our brochure and register to our open days. We have many more events coming up. So I'm very happy to, I already saw Vartika raising her hand. I'm very happy now to take your questions.
So basically, what I will ask you for all those who have attended, maybe is that you tell us if you're interested in a one-to-one with Natalia, because that's something that she offers. So to have like a sort of orientation session. And for those who live in Spain, of course, I suggest that you go visit the school. Huh?
Right.
But don't forget, I don't know if she can do 1 hour. She suggested 1 hour, but at least 30 minutes. So an orientation session so that you can assess your profile. She can tell you what the school can offer, the network, because that's
so I put this slide here to show you our beautiful admissions team. And if you go on this website, you get to know your regional admissions representative. As I said, I cover Spain and Portugal, so I'm very happy to have this conversation with all of those of you that are based there. If all of you agree and you get me a list of names and also a country of residence, I'll be happy to put you in touch with the person that is responsible for you in the admissions team. If not, feel free to contact them here as well for a one-to-one, like Kurt said.
Because that's always the problem with MBA Center. You see that we have a global platform, so we have students from a bit all over.
Yes.
But we'll find a way. Yes, of course.
Yes.
We can ask the events committee to.
Yes,
to make
and
an
it would be
file
good for us to have this list also to waive your application fee, as you might have known. If you decide to apply for IESE, we're happy to waive this application fee, whether it is this year or the next one. So very happy to have your names on our list to be able to do so.
Basically, I guess that you have many people who have raised their hand. Alors, Soeb, so you have a question for us, Soeb? Go ahead.
Yes. Hi, Natalia. My name is Soeb. I'm from Pakistan. First of all, thank you for such a comprehensive session. So I have two questions, one a serious question and one not so serious question. So I'll start with the serious one. And my question is, before starting your MBA, how has your perspective changed with regards to your career and how has IESE helped? So if you tell me what was your career plans and future plans before the MBA and how it transformed post the IESE MBA. And my second question is, other than the academic side, how was the campus life and how it helped you to, obviously get better understanding of the overall environment and help you in your own personal development? Thank you.
Very happy to answer them. In terms of my perspective on career, it has changed dramatically on a personal level. So before the MBA, I thought that to transition from this very niche specific background that I had, I thought my only way to do so would be consulting. And I knew that BCG had just opened an office in Bucharest, my home country, and that was my target. So I'm gonna do an MBA, I'm gonna go to BCG Bucharest. What happened was that during my first year, I got BCG Bucharest for internship. But you will see that as soon as you get what you want, your thoughts start evolving and you kind of are thinking from this newfound perspective, right? So around February, actually around this time, the decisions are released for the internships. And then I continued my conversation with the Career Development Center that I was mentioning. They're also alumni of the school. And I started telling them, well, I'm really interested in personal development. I've been reading about this for 10 years. I see you have a really cool job and you're an alumnus. How can I get your job, basically? So that was my question to them. They encouraged me to go still do my internship. I did my internship in just 10 weeks. I managed to validate that I don't want to go back to Romania and I don't want to do consulting. So that was a very time-effective way to validate two hypotheses. I got a full-time from another consulting company from Kearney, but was kind of delaying the decision to go there. And that's how I realized that's not really what I want to do. Then I went back to my career mentors. I asked them, hey, going back to our conversation, what do you advise for me? They tell me about a few positions in IESE, and that's how I managed to make this quite radical transition from a very technical role to a very humanistic role. And I'm quite happy to be here. So that's how my perspective has changed. And another thing to add to that was before I was in this great career, I was really surrounded by very passionate people about the space industry. But I kind of stumbled upon that field. A professor from university recommended me for an internship there, and that's basically how my career started. So I was always wondering, what if my qualities are better suited somewhere else, but I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what other industries maybe I was not even imagining existed. So the MBA really helped me go from this like big black map to illuminated map, and now I'm in a role, but I know what else is out there, and I know how to get there if I want to go there. So that's a little bit on how my perspective on career has changed. In terms of campus life, something interesting also here in IESE is that in Barcelona, you have a full campus dedicated for the full-time MBA. So anyone that you meet on campus is either your peer from the MBA, either your second year, your professor, or your career mentor. Everybody that you meet here is relevant to you. So there are a lot of synchronicities that happen. You meet people on the corridors and they know your name. The person in the cafeteria remembers how you like your coffee. So it's really this very familiar, cozy environment that is created.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think that
so basically, yes, if I can also answer to this, I would say that the structure of the program is important because, you know, in many European MBAs, whether it be IE, INSEAD, IMD, Oxford, Cambridge, you have a 1-year program. Okay, the fact that at IESE you have a sort of 2-year program is the opportunity to do an internship. A summer internship is a big added value. You see, Shoaib, you coming from Pakistan, or it can be the same thing to Vartika. I know you all. It's not easy to make the transition. Okay, so if you have some time to do an internship, to develop your network, to determine when you want to work, maybe you're going to come to Europe and not like it. Maybe I have a lot of students, for instance, who stay at INSEAD or HEC, and we decide to go to Dubai, for instance, okay, because they feel that it's closer, culturally closer to India or Pakistan. So that's the good thing. Second of all, the alumni network, the bigger the alumni network, the better, okay? And finally, of course, the ranking of the school, and it's a top 5. What is your ranking, the last Financial Times? Natalia, you're in the top 5?
In Financial Times, I think it was 4, but there were a lot of schools missing.
So in the top 5, yeah. So basically, so it's one of the top 3 in Europe, probably one of the top 10.
Usually in FT we're top 10, something like this.
So when you have a big name in terms, so you say the network, the name, the structure of the program helps a lot, especially when you when you're non-European citizen. Huh? Yeah, that's the thing.
And Hubert visited our campus, so he can comment on the
campus. I made an interview, and I've planned to come back probably this spring. So first, it's a very nice place. You have all heard about Barcelona, so it's a beautiful place to live. Huh? But don't imagine that it's going to be vacations. Huh? People work hard there, but at the same time, it's a very nice environment to study. Okay, and you're in a big city, and Vartika, you have a question, Vartika?
Yes, sir. So thank you, Natalia, for such a great session. So Natalia, I'm planning to apply for a MIM program and wanted to know if the same applies for the MIM program, everything, be it the case study approach most importantly, and the close proximity, like, you know, people knowing each other's names, having that close connect with the entire cohort and faculty. Just wanted to know how the experience looks like for a MIM. For a MIM student, yeah.
Absolutely. Everything that I said stands. Actually, you will have the same professors as the full-time MBAs have. In terms of close connections, it will be even more so. The MIM is still a young program, so we'll have next year 1, maximum 2 sections, so you will for sure know their first names and everything even more. The professors also know you by name, and in the Madrid campus, you have even a closer relationship with the program manager, and they really are there to listen to you. You have a coordinator that comes every day to see if you're doing well, if your papers are done. Really a very personalized approach.
Got it. So also Natalia, so I am looking at consulting as an industry. I've had a prior experience of working at BCG. So I just wanted to hear if like since I just saw on the page that there are a couple of aspiring consultants coming to the campus. So wanted to know if like it's like there's like a good huge scope of getting that exposure from consulting as well, and if that would, or basically how the job scenario also works out for someone who's not from Europe, so particularly coming from India. So I just wanted to develop that understanding as well.
Right. I will have to answer that for the full-time MBA though, Vartika. My colleague from the MIM has dropped, but I know that we received just a few news that we just had, I don't know, around 5 MBB offers for the MIM, and they are still to finish their programs. For the master management, it is much tougher, I have to say, because you are competing against all the master's degrees. So imagine somebody graduating from Polytechnic, or somebody graduating from, I don't know, medicine. The consulting companies will put you in the same pool as all these master's degrees. In the full-time MBA, it is a bit easier because you're only compared to the other MBAs. However, even so, let's say if you have your CV done right, you have the IESE brand, you are increasing your likelihoods to get that interview, and then the clubs is the differentiating factor to make you prepared for that interview. So in IESE, actually the MIM and the MBA clubs collaborate more and more. We have a very competent consulting club. I was VP of mentorship in the second year for the full-time MBA. I was gathering 50 second years to mentor 200 first years who are doing the preparation for the consulting path. All these 50 people have done their internships there, so they have been successful in their recruitment. So it's really valuable to have the guidance of the second year. So consulting companies actively target IESE. We are one of the 3 schools in Europe that are basically a target school, and even in COVID times, in the worst of times, they would always have seats reserved. This year we've had the biggest number of offers from BCG compared to the class size of the MBA. So we are like very, very well represented in that company specifically, but the others are also very, very present and sponsoring your notebooks and our conferences. So really, really wanting to be present on campus. Actually, today the BCG recruiters are on campus and they're having dinner with the admitted candidates. So they are alumni as well. So it's really nice to see them getting all these offers.
Because you see, Vartika, I know Spain quite well. I go there once a month, and there are lots of IESE graduates at Ben, BCG, McKinsey. Okay, so basically they come from the M7 in the US, SBS, maybe INSEAD, and probably in Spain after INSEAD, probably at the same level. It's IESE. Now you know that for the language barrier, you cannot work in Spain because you don't speak Spanish. Probably you will work most likely either in the UK or in India or Dubai, in English.
Dubai is growing very much, and they're really hungry for talent. They have so many projects, infrastructure projects, oil and gas. So they really are hungry for talent. And a lot of my Indian friends ended up, some of them in Amsterdam, some of them in the UK, some of them in Dubai.
Okay.
Got it.
Because
Thank you.
See, Natalia, in India, Ben, BCG, McKinsey, they have the back office. Okay, so they have many people like Vartika who work as who work in the back office. So they're not a consultant. Okay,
I know,
so they have a different role. Marcus, I know that you asked a question, Marcus, and then you left. So Marcus, you have a question for us, Marcus? Marcus? Hello, Marcus. You cannot hear us. Shoaib has another question. So, Atul.
Yes. Hello.
Yes, Marcus. Go ahead. Go ahead, Marcus. Go ahead.
Yeah. Firstly, greetings to all team members, especially to you, Dr. Hube. You know, I don't want to complain or moan. I'm just in a bit of a mist because, you know, I've been trying to get a school since 2020 December up until now, and I have not, or whoever was supposed to look for me for a school, I think disappeared or evacuated.
Okay. Yeah.
So I understand that it's more about the experience. I understand that it's more about the presentation of an MBA. You know, I think I join the program, or I join the platform so that I can tap into the international business schools.
Okay.
And especially exclusive programs that are in relation to either executive management and MBA. Since I do hold an MBA, it has always been a gesture to me to tap into a school that will actually help me get a business qualification in relation to an MBA, but that is more internationally recognized. So I'm tapping into that, but I also want to pose a question that how far we are with that on my side. And then I also wanted to know if that is not possible, is it possible then to tap into another platform, like maybe do a DBA into one of the business schools?
Yes, I remember that when you had a talk together, there's something like an advanced management program at Harvard or DBAs. Yes, you probably do you have like a DBA, Natalia? Do you have like DBA at you have a PhD program for
we have a
experienced
PhD
professionals?
program.
Yeah. So basically,
a PhD program, yes.
Yeah. So basically, what you see, there's a new type of need. I have like 4 or 5 students like that, Natalia, who are 40, 45. They don't want to go for an executive MBA. They don't want to go for, they can go either for an advanced management program, Harvard has that, or they can go for what we call an executive DBA or this type of thing. Yeah, Marcus. You have to revert to us regarding that because you have a very specific demand. The problem is that yes, if you can ask Natalia, she has like DBAs. You have PhDs, but you don't have a DBA.
I don't know about DBAs, but we do have an advanced management program.
So basically, Marcus, you can ask a meeting to Natalia about advanced management program, maybe, okay, or an executive DBA if they have. Yeah, okay. Hello.
Okay, yeah. I'm saying I hear you. So let us conclude then to say, because on my side, I had always looked for an executive management course.
Yeah.
On obviously the most respected institutions. But if that cannot be achieved, hence I was asking, can we tap into a DBA? But if there is not DBA, then maybe we need to sit down and really look at how we can get into a program.
Yeah, it's Maggie was taking care of you. So yes, we should contact him. Yes, I remember it was not in the case, but yes, we should be a sort of DBA, an online DBA. Okay. So she has something, but it's not easy at all. Marcus. Ayush, you have an interview very soon. So you have chosen IESE, okay? And I'm sure that you have a question. Now, basically, Natalia, we were preparing the business case yesterday. So basically, I have to say that as a preparator, Wharton, AMD, and IESE are the only 3 schools that have a business case. Okay, so it shows, of course, how important business case is. Okay, so basically, Natalia, can you tell us how the business case work? Why you have in the assessment a business case, how it works, and how important is it in your ultimate decision? It's a question for you, Natalia, and I'm sure that Ayush has somehow the same question. No, Ayush.
Yes, Dr. Hubert. And I have 2 more questions, but probably I'll wait. Let's just hear from Natalia.
Let's ask about because that's something that you have the assessment on Saturday. When is the assessment?
Yes,
Saturday?
we have a few.
When is yours, Ayush? When is yours?
Mine is on 5th of March.
Okay, yes, you see.
Yeah, we have this Saturday, but then there's another one on 5th of March.
There's Proof D as it on Saturday. It's Proof D was it on Saturday. Okay. So why do you have a business case? So we understand pretty well what you have won, Natalia, because of course your business case centered. Okay. And how important is it? And why have you decided to put the business case in the interview, in the recruitment process?
Sure. So just to clarify, the assessment day is a complementary element to the interview that you all go through. Most of our students are invited to one, some are not, but most of our students are invited to perform an assessment day. Not all assessment days contain a business case in some form or shape, yes, but we try to vary this every year. Sometimes we do Kickstarters that maybe did not have a success, and then we ask you to tell us why you think they were not a success, and then propose a better way forward for that Kickstarter. But a lot of the times you also use business cases in the assessment days. The reason why we do so is because we're trying to replicate a little bit the IESE MBA. Okay, we are evaluating you as a student in the full-time MBA. So we put you in a room that replicates the IESE classroom. In this case, it will be for you, Ayush, in a virtual setting. We have an in-person one as well later on, to which mostly European students will be attending. But we put you in a classroom in a similar class size, maybe 60, 70 people in that virtual or physical room. We split you into teams that are mostly the size of the teams that we have in the MBA. And we want to see how your thought process goes and also how you interact with others. While during the rest of your application process, we are evaluating you, Ayush, as the individual. In the assessment day, we are evaluating you as a team player as well. So while your unique contributions and the quality of your contributions are important, and there will be an admissions representative in each of these breakout rooms, we look at the quality of your contributions, but also on how you interact with others. So that's for us a data point to say, and since we are also alumni, we think in our minds, would I see Ayush in my team? Would I see Ayush contributing to the classroom in the classroom setting? So we're basically just trying to replicate what we have in the MBA to see if you are a good fit or not for the program.
Of course, we see Ayush at IESE. Huh?
Okay, thanks
He's a
for
very
that.
Bright guy, huh? He's a very bright guy. The other question, Ayush.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Dr. Hubert. Natalia, first of all, thanks for this amazing walkthrough. You've highlighted a lot of benefits of case method, but I also want to understand as a student, what was your biggest challenge when you were doing the MBA and you had to go through these 400 cases that all the students should be mentally prepared to while they walk in to do their MBA at IESE?
Right. The biggest challenge is quantity. I'll tell you a secret, IESE puts a lot more on your plate than you can handle in 24 hours. So even if you dedicated 24 hours to do everything, you will not be able to do so. But it is done intentionally so. Why? Because you have to learn two things. The first one, to prioritize. So every day you will wake up and say, okay, what are the things that I must achieve today? And the second one is ask for help. Many of our students, most of our students are super high performers that they usually have been working on their own to achieve their goals. And all of a sudden they're in a situation where they need to ask for help. So what happens that imagine you are preparing for consulting in the first term, you will say, hey team, I really want to contribute. Maybe you can cut me some slack in this first term, help me out with my cases a little bit. And then when you're recruiting for technology, then I'll be able to chip in more in the project that we have in the second term. So what happens is that you start leaning on your team, and then you start, maybe everybody reads the cases, but maybe some of you go really into depth on certain cases, and then you share in the team meeting in the morning what are your insights. So this is an environment that forces you to collaborate and forces you to prioritize. So this is a very big challenge that if you don't know how to handle in the beginning, can be overwhelming. and students are really surprised to say, hey, you told me it was intense, but I didn't know it was this intense. Like, well, yes, it is intentional, but you really learn how to prioritize and you really learn how to ask for help.
Thanks.
So basically, I would say that so basically the problem of the business case is that it requires a lot of work. Of course, you learn a lot. You learn a lot from that. At the same time, it requires very good interpersonal skills. So basically, ability to communicate, convey ideas, and listen to others, which is, by the way, a good duplicate of what you have at work. So contribution, listening, and at the same time contributing. And probably that's what they are looking for in the assessment day. How can he hear, and how can he? Is he a good listener? And is he also someone who can contribute to the group? That's probably the two things. Anandita, another outstanding student. Anandita.
Hi, Natalia. So my question is basically regarding the overseas module you have. So I understand that you have 4 overseas modules. So first question is like, what is the selection criteria? Do we apply and then we get selected out of it? And the second question would be, I know I'm interested in the finance sector. So I read like, New York and most probably in Brazil, the international modules are focused mainly towards sustainable development, sustainable finance, basically. So I want to understand on this that, how are these classified? So is there like, for if you are applying for, if you are interested in the finance sector, if do you have a selected international module, or you can, or all the 4 modules offer the same, same experience, same exposure? So these are the 2 questions I have.
Sure. So we have indeed 4 overseas modules, one in Shanghai, New York, Sao Paulo, and Nairobi.
Yeah.
2 of them happen in beginning of September, and 2 of them happen around January. So you usually can attend maximum 2. Their length is around 2 weeks, and they are considered as an elective of the second year. Okay, so it is considered as an intense second year elective that complements your term and contributes to your credits. So the selection process is the same as for all the other electives. It's a bidding process. So if you really want to go to New York, you just put number 1 and put a lot of points to that overseas module, and you for sure will get it. So that is a little bit how it works. In terms of the content, it depends on what professor will take you there and give you that session. I know, for example, for Shanghai, there was an operations professor, so that was the focus of the overseas module. So it is not really related to the geography. The type of course that you're going to have is not related to geography, it's related to the professor that takes you there, if that makes sense. So you know then who will be the professor and what the content of the course will be at the moment of the bidding, and you'll know description and feedback from previous year's students.
So it keeps changing depending on the professor, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
This year and last year we couldn't do the Shanghai module because there were like 2+ weeks of quarantine to be done, and I think they were trying to propose a Dubai one, but we're hoping that things will resume to normal. This will be impacting you 2 years from now, so hopefully by then maybe we'll keep both. Let's see.
Thank you.
I have a question for you, Natalia. All the courses are business case related, or you have some courses that are more theoretical, or they're all business case related?
I'll answer that question in 2 ways. More than 80, I would say even 85% of the content of your education here will be case-based, but you can have some sessions within the course that are lectures. So imagine you're doing financial accounting, maybe you'll have a few lectures on the theory behind the financial accounting, but in general, more than 80% of your courses will be that way. In the second year, you have electives, and I can think of at least 1 course that is not case-based. It is a course that basically consists of speakers coming to your class, CEOs that come and tell their story. So they're kind of cases, but they're more like speakers. So that is the one that I can think of. There is also another one, which is called EXIM, which is an executive simulation, where you are basically spending one very intense week simulating a company, a very operationally heavy company, and you are working with other teams competing from a financial, marketing, operational point of view, making decisions into a system, and then having the results from the system being as the result of a company. You have meetings with banks to negotiate your loans, meeting with actual union people from Spain to negotiate the salaries for your people. So that is another example of a course that is not case-based, but it's more like interactive simulation. But in general, more than 80% of your studies will be with case method.
Okay. Then Borja Perez, you have a question, Borja?
Yeah, I have a question. First of all, thank you, Natalia, for the presentation. I have two specific questions. The first one is that last year I participated in the YTP bootcamp program, an experience that I recommend to everyone, by the way. And I would like to know if this program makes a difference within the process to apply to the MBA versus a standard application. And my second question is, with the opening of the new Madrid campus, is the school considering having the full-time MBA program also in Madrid in the short term, or is not an option right now? Thank you.
I don't know about this rumor about the MBA being in Madrid. It's not the first time I received this question. It's true, we opened a beautiful addition to our campus, a very sustainable, beautiful campus in Madrid. I was there for the global alumni reunion, but so far we are not planning to divide the MBA between Barcelona and Madrid. That campus is now used more for executive education.
Okay.
For what concerns the YTP, so for everyone who doesn't know, it's a Young Talent Path program, which we recommend to all those candidates who don't have enough work experience to apply for the full-time MBA. So maybe you have maximum between 1 and 2 years of work experience. So it's quite a special program in which we invite you for 3 days to participate in case study sessions, be an MBA student for 3 days in Barcelona. So it is a free program. You pay for your flights and accommodation, but you are able to participate in these 3 days. So Borja, if you were pre-admitted to the full-time MBA, which I understand you are.
Yeah, it's my case. Yeah.
So this Young Talent Path is a way for you to experience the program, but also for us to evaluate you. So if you were selected like Borja, pre-admitted to the MBA, then what happens is that you have a fast-tracked application process, okay, Borja? So you will have fewer questions to answer in the application process. There's only one essay that asks you what have you been doing so far, and also you do not do the assessment day, and you also do a very short interview where you kind of explain to us what you have been doing in these years, and we just want to make sure that there is not a huge gap in your CV between the moment you graduated from the YTP until now. So and that is a huge facilitation. And also, if you have 700 plus GMAT, you get 20,000 euros scholarship automatically if you apply by round 2. So these are the advantages. You also get some support with career. If you desire, we can put you in touch with the Career Development Center. So you are basically considered a little bit, like a pre-alumnus of the MBA. You're invited to events in the pre-COVID era. Whenever you had local events, you could attend as well, just like an alumni.
Okay, Natalia, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Feel free to get in touch with me if you have more questions.
Okay,
cool. Yeah, of course. Alors, Nick, saying Nick, who have been in contact, so you're in my network. So do you have a question for us, Nick?
Yes, Dr. Hubert. Yeah, we are in touch. Now, I think, thank you for this session, Natalia. I had a question very similar to what the other folks were regarding the eligibility, and I wanted to know about what is it that you're looking for an application, because this would be the first time that I would be applying for an MBA school. So apart from the GMAT and the IESE, the idea is that what are the things that you are looking for so we can stand out? I have one of my colleagues, in fact, who is from India, who got admitted into the 2022 intake. And him and I had a relatively same experience, but he had a much more brighter academic score than I do. So would that be a hindrance And the second thing which I want to know is that, right, I am looking at schools which are based out of US and Canada as well. And of course, there are startup hubs economically more strong as opposed to Spain. So are there any opportunities for the students who are joining to have a rather much intensive exposure to other cities or other countries so they can have that bigger network?
Great
Right?
questions.
Like a startup community of that sort in Spain, entrepreneurship activities that are encouraged. Is the program more towards academic oriented or real life application oriented?
Sure.
I know it was a lot. You can
No,
skip.
I took notes, so I make sure to answer.
Apologies about that.
No worries. Okay, what do we look for in a candidate? As I was mentioning throughout this presentation, the IESE MBA is very intense academically, and you will see not all schools have this as their priority, but IESE really, really wants you to be to have all the fundamentals of a business. By the time you graduate, every single person will know what a business is. So that's why academics is really, really important in IESE. So what we look for, Nick, is on one hand, from a just pure capability point of view, are you going to be able to withstand this academic load? So for that, we will look at your grades. But you are also not a recent graduate. So if you think that your academics are maybe lacking in certain points, you could make it up with a great Gmat. So Hubert will be able to help you with that. So if you are able to kind of fill that gap and also maybe bring some examples from your career where you portrayed analytical skills, problem solving skills, that really puts our minds at ease from a pure capability point of view. But going beyond the capability, we are also looking for, I was mentioning before, for team players, right? We want nice people in our MBA. We want people who align with our values. We want people who will be helping each other in the MBA. As you saw, our program heavily relies on you being able to ask for help and helping each other out. So we're looking for people who are capable to go through the program, who are helpful towards the other, who are aligning with our program. And also we're looking for excellence in your profile in terms of career potential, right? So let us know in terms of where you're headed. Have you done enough research of where you're headed? Do you think we can help you? Because we want to admit the best, but we also want to make sure that we can help you and we can achieve your dreams. So Nick, you were saying, I want to have access to startup hubs. Well, then I will say, yes, indeed, Barcelona is becoming a great startup hub. I can see that, from the news and statistics, but I can see it in my immediate network where alumni of IESE in Barcelona are starting companies and now they're becoming unicorns and they're spinning off into many more companies and they're hiring IESE students. So Barcelona is a great hub for that. But we have some tracks for this as well. So we have a track going to Berlin, a track going to the Silicon Valley. So you are able to kind of network with those companies in those regions as well. I don't know if in Dublin as well, or maybe that's more purely tech. So these are the ways you can interact with companies that way. In IESE here on campus, we just opened 2 years ago a new ventures hub, which is a physical location for entrepreneurs to start their business. So you don't have to rent offices in Barcelona. You can just start your business here. There's a big room where you can meet with your team. You have 2 meeting rooms to meet with your investors, so you don't meet, in a Starbucks coffee place. So you have some resources here on campus, and it is right next to the entrepreneurship department that will help you also get access maybe to our Finaves funds that only invest in IESE profiles, or our angel network investors. So you have quite a lot of support here in Barcelona as well. I do encourage you to kind of do your research, because there's quite a bit of potential. There are a lot of companies recruiting and IESE MBAs as well.
Got it. Thank you very much. That does give me good clarity.
No worries.
Because what is your Gmat score, Rick, for timing, Nick? What is your current Gmat score?
490. Extremely poor, I know.
490? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the mock I gave. I never gave an official one, but
Yeah,
490.
490, yeah. Try to get at least 700. Huh?
Yeah.
Maybe I can comment a little bit on Indian students that are based in India. Of course, please reach out to my colleague who represents that region. But I have been interviewing students from India as well, and I know that just from personal experience, you guys are really eager to portray all of your achievements in the interview. So you are really like to just give us all the list of everything that you have achieved, and they are usually really impressive things. However, I do encourage you to really portray, an understanding of your interviewer as well, to give them, just the information that they asked you for, to be able to portray some soft skills as well, networking capabilities. Just to be yourself. Don't think that you just have this 1 hour to give all the information about yourself. Prepare your CV well, your essays, and if the content is there, we actually read it. Several people will read it, so we will be aware of all of your achievements. So just try to be the human you in the interview, and try to portray the soft skills that you're looking for as well. And if you can get any international experience, try to volunteer in associations, try to get any type of international exposure. If you work in international teams, really try to portray that as well. Those would be my advice to the Indian-based students.
Makes sense. Yeah, thank you.
Natalia?
Anandita, you have another question? Anandita, go ahead. Hello?
Hi, Dr. Rupert. No, I don't have any question as of now. So I asked my questions to Natalia.
Approve. You take the. I think that you had the interview today, and you have the where is approve, and you have the assessment day on Sunday. Prudvi, sorry, you have questions, Prudvi?
Yeah, I just have a question. I just today took the interview, Natalia, with Tomofomu. It was a great interview. It went well, very well. I just wanted to know about one more point that I missed out on the interview. That I want to know more about the LDP programs that come to IESE. How is the recruiting for it, and what is that they look in the candidates?
What programs? Sorry.
LDP programs, leadership development programs.
Right. I know there are big companies that have this type of rotational programs, such as IBM Bev, Johnson & Johnson, Siemens have a CEO program, and they usually recruit exclusively MBAs for those. So they target IESE, they open those positions internally, so you have an internal portal, job portal, and you can just apply for that and be a candidate that way. It is a very straightforward process. They target IESE, they send our career development center their job description, and you just like click on a button and apply for them. And they sometimes come to network with IESE. For example, my colleague actually from IBM Bev, he was here a few days ago for the Women in Business conference, and he was also able to network with some students here on campus. But yes, it's a very straightforward process in terms of recruitment.
Yeah. Atul?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Atul. My question is basically divided in a few parts. So let me give you my background. I work with IBM Consulting in India as an IT consultant. We help companies to implement ERP and other softwares. So the question here is, my question is divided in a few parts. The first is, see, a few of the people told me that my age is, I'm about to 33 in few months. So people told me I should go for the executive MBA, do not go for the regular MBAs. But in my personal experience, I prefer the regular one instead of the executive one. So considering all the facts, the Gmat and other academic score, so if I put all that hard work, so will that age will be the factor which will get me like rejections? Or so I just want to know about that.
Yeah. It will depend. Okay, it will depend a little bit on what your post MBA goals are. So, for example, if you are targeting one of these leadership programs, they do tend to prefer, candidates that are a bit younger. They want to shape them within the organization, right? But if you are targeting, for example, consulting, they don't care about your age as long as you are comfortable having a younger boss, because that will happen. Then they don't care. For us in admissions, we want you to be no older than 40 when you are graduating. That is our hard limit. Okay, so for you being 33 when you start the program wouldn't be something completely out of the norm. Our average age is 29, but of course, the bell curve goes a few years on each side. So it will depend a lot on your post-MBA goals. We want, again, to make sure that we can achieve your dreams. So you need to tell us what your dreams are, and then there is a conversation to be had in terms of maybe for this particular job, the age is important or not, depending on your specific example.
All right. Got your question. I got the answer. My second question is regarding that. I was talking to multiple people who done their MBAs and people who help people to achieve their goals. So my goal is to start my career after post MBA into like a management consulting. The question, not the question, the confusion I have is the different people I like communicated with. They told me if you have a certain level of experience and certain level of age, so they come these management consulting people will hire you, but they will not put you in the general management. They'll put you into an expert management. For example, in according to my experiences in IT, like a digital sector of let's say management consulting. And as far as the like a hierarchy of those like big top 3 companies are concerned, the people who get into like a general management consulting will reach to the partner level is more like a they reach to the partner level earlier in the stages as compared to the people who are into a specific like a management consulting role, like a digital consulting something like that. So what are your thoughts about that?
I don't have visibility on the career progression difference between general management consulting and specific technology driven consulting. However, I do have data on likelihood of getting into management consulting if you are older. And there doesn't seem to be a correlation between age and likelihood of receiving an interview nor a job in consulting. So I would say, Atul, if I were you, I would not wait longer. You are getting to that moment where it can be a little bit dangerous, but you are not required to put your age in your CV. So if your accomplishments are there, if they see that you're smart and hardworking, that's what they're looking for. They have a huge turnover, so they need people all the time. So if you have the requirements, regardless of the age, you will get into management consulting firms. If the CV is right, if your performance is right, they will want you. They're really hungry for talent. I don't know if you saw, the MBBs are increasing salaries like crazy because people are leaving them. So they do want you if you are able and willing to put in the work. So I wouldn't wait longer to apply. And you do have a chance. I even have my teammate who was 33 when he started the program, and then he transitioned to BCG, and that was perfectly fine. His boss was younger, but if you're fine with that, they're fine with that too.
Okay, and the number of experience you have will have any impact on the getting selected for regular MBA? Like I have 7. Okay.
Sorry, were you talking about the level in consulting post MBA?
Number of experience, like a year of experience. Like for example, I have like experience more than 7 years, right? So will that be an issue? Like okay, because my experience might be more than the most of my peers in the group if I get selected to any MBA program, right? So will that be an issue of getting selected for the
school or for the companies?
Both.
For the school, no. Our average is 5 years of work experience, so 2 years more is not falling outside our range at all. And for the companies, you will always be placed at consultant level or associate level in BCG. Regardless of whether you have 3 years or 10 years of work experience, you will always get placed to the same level. That's why it's up to you to decide if you want it. And they will offer it if you're good enough.
All right. One last question. I'm not sure that's a rumor or something. The people I'm talking to, multiple people, my bosses and everyone, they suggested me if you are not comfortable or you are not good enough in the native language of a country, do not apply for that college. For example, if you want to apply for a non-native English speaking like a college, like for example, college in Barcelona, there are few chances you are you might not get a like a job because of that you do not know the native language. So what are the thoughts on that?
Well, more than 80% of our employment is outside Spain. And even within Spain, we have so many startups and positions such as, I don't know, in Amazon, if you go to operations, you need to talk to the workers, so you need Spanish. But if you go to consumer goods side, you don't need Spanish. If you go to a startup here in Barcelona, probably less than 10% of the employees will be Spanish anyway, so you will be one more of the international crowd. But more 80% of our employment is happening outside of Spain, so that is not a concern to be had, I would say.
All right.
If you are aiming consulting, yes. So if you're aiming at consulting, you will, without native level of Spanish, you will never get Spain. That is for sure. Maybe that was what the advice for from your colleagues. But even in consulting, we place people in Dubai, for example, where of course they accept English, and other countries as well.
All right. That's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I suggest that I think that we stop because we have classes starting now. So thank you very much, Natalia, for being with us and for this presentation. So we'll revert to you so that we'll give the list of the students who came, Natalia, so that they get their waiver, their tuition waiver. So there are some for most of them are for the MBA, but some for the MIM.
Very happy to get
and already put Vertica in contact with Carmen Sanchez in Madrid. Perfect. So basically what you have to know is that in Madrid, they have the MIM and executive education, and in Barcelona, the MBA and also executive education. Anyway, the headquarters remain somehow Barcelona. And the last thing that I would like to tell you, because I've seen that you have many by the way, there's one student that I wanted you to ask you a question. She's from Spain, and she's preparing, by the way, her application. That's Maria, who is the student that we have from Spain? Angelica del Villar. Angelica, you have a question, the last question, Angelica? Yeah, because you're from Spain, you're from Madrid, so, and I know you well. So, Angelica, what questions have you got for Natalia?
No, well, I had some, but the students already asked them. But I would think I'll go with the one-to-one to Natalia, if possible. I will get in contact with her.
She's a very strong student. She's an engineer working for Amazon, Angelica.
Yes.
And she's very motivated by your program. She's applying to IESE only. So it was nice to see you. So we'll take your contact information, where you are listed, and we'll see. First, I want to analyze the profiles. I know that Anandita, Ayush, Rodvi, etc. You're having the interview pretty soon, and the others. We'll take your contact information, and we'll make sure that IESE knows about you, and that you can have like the 1 hour consultation session with Natalia. Okay. So the thing that I wanted to tell you is about my experience of Spain. Okay. You see, as you know, we're all over. And I remember that when I used to come to Spain more regularly, so I started like last in November, December 2019. Well, Spain was like any other country for me. Like I go to Madrid, like I go to Italy, or like I go to Germany, or like I go to France. And then I say to understand the potential of the country. Okay. So first, of course, there's lifestyle. Okay, so of course it's a great country to live because you eat well. You have many. It's entertaining. You can go out until 1 or 2 o'clock. So that's not the thing that I experienced in Belgium, for instance. And then I said to myself, now I see that there's a lot of investments coming in Spain, and probably it's a great country for startup here, because in terms of intellectual level or academic level, it's the same as France. The workforce is a bit cheaper, super intelligent, qualified, speak English well. So for an entrepreneur, it's a great country to work with, okay? And at the same time, when you're in Spain, you also have access to South America. So Spain is part of the European community, okay, so with the advantages of the European community, plus access to South America, qualified people, hard worker, okay? Great living conditions. So I'm sure that there will be, and it's really pro-business. So Barcelona, so you see, it's not like France or like some of these countries that are really centralized. So basically, the Barcelona or Madrid, they manage their own their city, and with a lot of care. So I'm sure that Spain has a great future still. Okay, especially for entrepreneurs. If you're looking for quality of life, there's a lot coming up. I believe more in Spain than in France or Italy, personally. So so that's my and you see, as an entrepreneur, as an investor, I feel this type of things. Okay, so so I want to. So it was very nice to see all of you, and but good luck, Prudvi, for your assessment day on Saturday, and
Thank you.
you, Anandita, and
thank you, Dr. Huber. Nice talking to you.
And probably we'll spend some time to prepare the interview. So I wish you a good day, to all of you. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Good luck for your preparation.
Natalia.
I went through the Gmat preparation as well. I know it's very painful, but hang in there. You'll make it. I'm sure you get great scores and get into the MBAs that you're targeting. So good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Ayushi got 730, Prudvi 730, so they have good scores. Don't worry. They were Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.